Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party, and my buddy Rhett. I got a nut for her. I got her a walnut. I had to crack it for her. Let's see, there's the camera. There it is. Um, and so I already gave her a couple pieces of it, but I'm gonna give her the rest of it now. There you go. There you go, buddy. Um, she really likes the walnuts, and then she also enjoys throwing them off the edge because our dogs really enjoy the walnuts, and she likes feeding the dogs. She has, plenty of food all the time. Interesting fact about birds, and I don't know if this is a fact, but this is what I've been told, and in my observations have playing through. But like they don't get fat. You just feed them, and then and when they start to, if they get too many calories, they make an egg. That seems to have been our experience. So they generally, I guess, if they eat too much and they don't make a lot of eggs, they'll be like, okay, yeah, let me back off on the eating because that hurt. I think that's what happens. I'm not 100% sure on that. Actually, I have no idea, but that's what seems like to me. So, anyways, we kind of like we've been working on unit tests a lot in this project. This project's been going for about 7 months now, and I would guess that at least 3 months of it have been unit testing. Definitely testing for sure, but we spent a lot of time testing. Um, I am really starting to like. I've always enjoyed doing unit tests. I've always had to do them in sort of not enjoyable circumstances, but I enjoy doing them because it's like I like programming computers, and you're just doing like extra puzzles and all that. But one thing that's starting to become like very positive about unit tests in general is that, like I said yesterday, you should aspire to have a time and a place for everything. Um, that's not guaranteed. Well, it used to be that the time that I would be like kind of deeply focused on trying to tease apart code so that it's in good, understandable units was during the what I call the fog of war. Like something's broken, we got to get this working. Blah blah blah. Let me try this. Let me try that. Let me try this. Well, it's a lot of overhead to also then be like, okay, and then while I'm trying all these thousands of things to in attempts to understand why this is broken through layers and layers of abstraction, and it's very challenging. At the same time, I need to also be concerned about making these into testable units. No, you can wait till the unit testing. Obviously, I think when you're in the fog of war, good variable names can be extremely helpful and probably give as much as they take. And having code with like good function names, even like lint sort of things like spacing, all that can be very very helpful towards kind of helping you figure out what a problem is when there's a problem. But breaking in things into retestable units is not something. Now, one of the things you have to be so careful about when you do break things into retestable units is that you don't paint yourself into a corner as well. And I guess that's something I'll be like thinking a lot about, as we move through this process. But because this is the first time ever, literally ever, that I've been like, while I was coding, I was like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to worry about how this is going to be during unit testing. I'm going to do that during unit testing. And I don't. I used to try to do that before, but that didn't work because a lot of times I would break the application while I was breaking it down into small units and miss that I broke the application. And that's, I think, where the end-to-end testing comes in. Is so it's a good way, I think, to increase the quality of the code if you can afford it. Um, I don't know that all organizations can afford organizations. I kind of like the way I said it for organizations, the slurry kind of thing, but all organizations can afford unit testing. Like, but if you're not going to unit test, I think that there is a mindset where that works, and I think that's the mindset where you're like, basically, we're rewriting this application every year. Because if you do that, like if you rewrite the application over and over again, you can get really fast and good at writing the application. The problem is when you try to write some big application, it lingers on for years and years and years, and by the time you've gotten to the end, you don't really remember how you did the beginning. If that's how it's going to play out, yes, it'll probably add time. Maybe not. But it, it's very likely to add time to have all the testing as you build it out. But if it's going to take you years and years and years to do it, then you probably need that testing because like you're still going to be able to need to maintain the early code 5 years from now. But like let's say you have, and I remember when I came in to software development for web like in 1998, um, it was basically assumed that you were going to throw away and rewrite the front end every year, um, all the time. It was just like, okay, yeah, the technology is moving forward so fast. Concepts that are in the browser today didn't exist in the browser 6 months ago. Like, yeah, let's rewrite this. Let's rewrite this. And you get really good at writing that kind of code. Um, but and I guess that's where I kind of got into this merry-go-round that we call software development, because things are always changing. So when I first got in is when we used to phoenix these things. We would rise up, burn it to the ground, rise up, burn it to the ground, rise up, burn it to the ground, and got really good at that. Um, but now our applications are just so much bigger and more complex that maybe that's just not feasible anymore. Um, so that's that. But if you're like, oh, there's no reason to write. Like if you're like this code, I'm not going to be maintaining this code in a year because we're going to have a new one. Then, yeah. But anyways, here we go. We're trying to get. We are at 58%. Brad, we're trying to get this up to 100%. We don't have lines, functions. We don't have every function tested. We don't have every branch tested. We only have, so let's see. And I guess I always like to do the easiest ones first. In a lot of things, it's like doing the hardest one first is the best way to go. Just get the hardest one out of the way, and then that sort of defines the way everything works. And then all the easy ones are easy after that. But I've found that with software development, it's a little easier to get the easy ones done first, um, and then start writing out the hard ones. Um, so, anyways, it looks like this is interesting. Um, so I'm just looking for it. This always scares me. So, um, who knows how that's going to. So, get farthest left. See, like that's going to be very difficult, I think, to test. I think we're going to want to pull this out into its own function. And basically, it's just going to say, like, the function. Yeah, the function will have to get, like, left. I can't remember how to do that. I think I have to do, like, a bind. I've had to do this a bunch of times. But, yeah, we're going to want to pull this out, and then call get farthest left. And then get farthest right. And then, so all I'm doing is looking for like the easiest one. Delete visualization for render ID. So this gets called from another suite, but fortunately, that calling from the other suite doesn't handle all these things. But it does look like we're gonna have to pull this out, and then that calling from the other suite will handle this. So I don't know. But so I think this is going to be the easiest thing to do. This is pretty. I didn't see anything that would be easy. Maybe this would be easy, but still we still have to pull pieces of that out. Yeah, I don't see anything that's just going to be like easy to do. So I think all of these are pretty challenging. So let's just go ahead with this guy right here. I think this is a pattern that we're running into a lot in this particular file. So basically, I think the first step that I've learned is that I need to call a function. I need to pass this thing a function, not a. Um, I need to pass it a function, not a, not have the function embedded in here. So we're going to create a new function. So I don't know. This is in. Are we in the right place? Let's see, 360. No, we are not in the right place. Well, maybe. I'm going to close this one, close this, and reopen it so I can try to figure out where I'm at. There we go. Let's see, 367. Yeah, so this piece of code we want to basically make this one should be pretty easy because the only variable it cares about is the actual visualization that we're iterating over. And there's another example up here that's going to be a little bit harder because it needs like this one is going to need this right. And I can't remember how we pass in variables. But we're gonna need to pass in the variable, and I've definitely done that before. Um, and I would probably like when I first started making YouTube channel videos. The reason I made YouTube videos is because I worked for a like a sensitive software development. I worked for the Defense Logistics Agency, and we had to do our code on a lockdown computer, and our lockdown computer did have access to YouTube. So a lot of times when I would learn how to do something, I couldn't quite remember it, so I'd make a video on how to do it, so I could watch the video on YouTube. So that was the main reason, because we didn't have any access to like most websites. Like I think their whole website, like it was just a whitelist, only pre-accepted websites. So and I don't think that, if I remember correctly, like Stack Overflow wasn't even legal on that one. But anyways, I want to create a function that handles that. Basically, I guess all it does is, oof, yeah, this is a hard. Okay, so the problem is that all this does is um, so I guess the thing is we okay. So all this does is check for something and add it to a local function, a local array, if under certain circumstances. So I guess, and honestly, these are. I think I'm filling in some. Like I remember someone once describing JavaScript skills as like Swiss cheese. You have all these holes, but you don't know where the holes are. You can build stuff and get stuff done. One thing I really never got into was like the array functions, and this seems like what I really want to do is convert this into a filter. Um, and I guess that's like the perfect thing for me. It's a perfect thing to put into ChatGPT, and the reason I think it's a perfect thing to put into ChatGPT is because, like, yeah, I could go through the whole steps of doing this conversion, um, but converting this into a filter, to use the filter method or function. Um, but I think it would be better to um, create a. I would be better ask ChatGPT because I can read any of the descriptions and information that it gives me, and then B, it's very unlikely to be broken. This is something that seems like it could do. Um, and then I guess I'll probably even just be able to make this all into like one line, and then that filter could probably be its own function. So I'm gonna go to ChatGPT. Well, I'll tell you, I think you can really screw yourself up with ChatGPT, but I think you can also, it can be a tool to make you much better at your job. Um, and it's just like, just don't. We are on the bleeding edge when it comes to that. This type TS code that iterates that I would like to convert from a for each to a filter. And something that kind of hit me yesterday was that I don't really, what am I trying to say? I don't really, Chat, Chat GPT, or more specifically, large language systems, I guess they are, LL, those don't know anything. All they know is like, probably at the top of the list, what they know is like what they're not supposed to talk about, right? Like they probably have a list of highly sensitive things that for whatever reason they don't want to talk about. It could be censorship, it could be like not to trigger people, it could be, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But be like not to enable people, there's probably a million different things. Okay, it knows not what not to talk about. But then it only knows what's been written down. It doesn't have any actual experiences of its own. So you got to look at it that way. Functional and functional. Here's how you would do it. So it would be more concise and functional. And see what's nice about this is that then this can be pulled off into its own function pretty easily. This version directly returns a new array only containing the elements that did not match. It's cleaner and avoids manual array mutation. So anyways, yeah, so there's that. So supposedly I can just lift and shift this. Now this is the hard part, right? Because it's been a little while since we've been in the actual application. So we got to make sure that we didn't just break something. And I don't think we'll be able to delete a renderer if, uh-oh. Let's see, it looks, well, okay. It might have been that it rebuilt. So what happened was it was compiling when I came over here. I added something and then it reloaded. Okay, now I want to go to here. I want to delete. I think we would already be clear if this was broken. So anyways, so that's good. Let's see what we get. I think this will improve our situation in unit tests now. I think that is better than what I had before. But let's see. So we were at 81 statements, branches. I think we'll hop up to 30. No, we didn't actually increase. Yeah, but we did make these a little better. If we come down here to the very end. So we have this. So now this, I think, is easy enough to tease out of this function because all it uses is the visualization. And generally, whenever I do something like that, I'll just name it the exact same function. And I'll just add the word filter to the end of it. And I believe, yeah, this is going to return a Boolean. Well, hi there. And we name it visual. Basically, this is the exact signature that we want. I had cap locks on, not shift. And I'll tell you, I saw a video the other day. I don't know if I mentioned this, but before, but cap locks were on. Where the guy was like, "Do not waste your time becoming a computer programmer." Blah 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 blah. And man, he is so correct. He was absolutely correct. But the problem is okay, fine. Don't be a computer programmer. Really, honestly, I'm not being sarcastic here. If you're 16 years old or 20 years old, I do not think the job of computer programmer is going to be around when you're my age. Now, you better know how to code though. And I'm glad that's not a challenge that I'm going to be bumping up against in my life. But you're not going to be able to everything is requiring coding now. Everything. Like you're just going to have to learn how to code, unfortunately. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, so this code becomes much easier to unit test. This delete visualization on its own, right? Uh-oh. So I actually, okay, have to also be able to pass it. Okay, okay, so now I do not know exactly how to do this, but okay. I would like to move the filter function into its own. See if it even knows what I mean. So, oh. Okay, I'm very confused. So it's saying that is it saying that I can just do this? Comma st under ID. I don't think you can do this. I think this is going to be the index. See, I think that this is going to be the index. Wait, you can. This should keep visualization. What? Maybe I'm misreading this. This seems weird. Okay. Should keep visualization. So that's delete visualization filter. Okay, so then this calls that and passes this, which is basically. Oh. I never did actually do it. Okay. Oh, see, that's the thing is it's actually calling it. I would still, like, I would literally still have the same problem with trying to get it. No, because it's as long as it gets something, it would get it. they're saying V. I don't know what that V, but we'll worry about that in a second. This dot delete. So that was not the right one. I feel like I'm still gonna have, well, it's gonna run it no matter what though, so. Oh, okay, so yeah, this a lot of times won't work for me because, okay, so let's try this closure thing instead. It won't work for me a lot of times. It will work in this case because I can add a visualization pretty easily, but it won't work for me a lot of times because sometimes I just can't add that. So I want string bind the ID. Okay, that is really weird to me. Man, this is really blowing my mind. I think I really want to make it bigger. All my instincts are like, make this bigger. Okay, so Boolean return. But it's getting in here. Okay, so this is the name of the function. This is its argument that it accepts. And then this is the type. It's saying it's something that accepts a visualization and returns a Boolean. And then this return stv visualization. And then I don't know about anybody else, but like that code looks a little bit too terse for me to really make sense of. Okay, so this part, private. Okay, I don't care, right? That's probably why I ended up with the private and the other one. Create, and it probably, I guess it would, it is arguable this one should be private. But create visualization filter. So that's just the name. And then this are the arguments for this. Oh, okay. So then what this does is it returns a function that's of this type. Something that accepts a visualization. But when we minted this function, we put in its memory and its closure, I don't know exactly what the word, this st renderer ID. Yeah, so I think that's really neat. I definitely, it's really advanced, right? I would think it would be really hard for me to code this out on my own. But let me see. I can understand it. Did I not? I don't think I might have missed or no, I think I had too many. Let me see. Okay, so we want everything from here to here. And we want that to replace everything from here to here. Okay, so then it doesn't like that, but I love you too, Rat. All right. So this is what it returns. this is the beginning of the actual function. This is the function that gets manufactured. Okay, so we're going to do this. Okay, so this is the name of the function. Delete visualization. Now, for some reason, it says that this could be. Can I put a question mark there? No. So what we can do is we can move this like this by this, and then so basically it's just going to say let's see, return true. See if we can just do that. I'm just seeing if that fixes things. Okay, so that's good. All right, so we're just going to create a variable that says matched, and it's going to be a let match equals false, and then if I think I can add the Elvis operator here. And this would be true. So basically we're going to default to true, and I don't know why that isn't working. Is that supposed to be a string? That's supposed to be a number. Okay, so I don't know why it's got a problem with this now. Oh. It's because I wasn't returning anything. Return match. Oh, my husky's out there barking at something. We are letting our, well, we're leaving the full house open. So that means what the implications of that are is we have cats, and when we first got the husky, the cats just would absolutely not interact. And so we ended up having to divide the house into two. And it's been a couple months now, and finally the door is open, and yeah, that's helpful, right? Let's see. All right, so st render ID. All right, so this is some very, very advanced JavaScript. But basically, this is a function. V ends up being a function, which is created by when you execute this delete visualization render ID filter. And when you mint this thing, you actually create it. It returns a function, a whole function. And that function accepts a visualization. But in its closure, it has access to this visual render ID that existed when it got created. So I don't know. So I'm going to hit save. And let's see what we get over here. Did we get it? Okay, so now we have this. But see, this, I was hoping this would run. But I guess it's not going to run if there's nothing in it. So I guess that makes sense. But again, well, yeah, so like you can't, it'll run it as long as a visualization exists. But you can't, it'll run it. But if there are none, then then we will have problems. I mean, if there are none, then it won't ever get into this filter because so that's the reason. And that, actually, I think we got worse on unit tests. It seems like because now we like have a whole another new function that we don't call. And then, yeah, and it's actually going to be quite tricky to unit test this too, because we're going to have to get the function and then execute the function. And when we execute the function, all we have to do is add it this, but then we're going to have to add it these different things. Let's see, is this still required? I think this is still required. Okay, that's weird that that's not required. So then can I just say, oh, it's always going to return true the way it is right now anyways. I wonder, see, I wonder if that breaks things. That's weird. Because I don't think it actually, but maybe that problem is what happened at this point. I think that was, like everything gets screwed up. Um, I do think I can return this. And in this one case, I think it is a little easier to, and so then, yeah, then this is the part that I never know if it's worth doing is then I can get rid of these brackets and get rid of the return and just put that there. Um, and we weren't testing anything anyways down there. And filter. All right, so now, anyways, yeah, this will be a great place to start tomorrow. It is 8:58, so I have to start work in 2 minutes. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.